Hello, this is Don Zabalansky. Welcome to my Colonial smithing workshop. As you can see, it's long and narrow, and that is because of the configuration of the house. I would certainly like it to be bigger, but it is what it is. The first and most important component is my fabrication, layout, and work table. This is an old drafting table that I got when it was surplused, along with this antique chair. As I swing over here, you will see a shear, which is a big time saver. This is a 30-inch shear. It was manufactured in 1933. As I turn around, you will see my storage for sheet plates and glass. And as I swing around further, you will see my hand tools. I have an extensive collection of hammers. Each hammer has a specific purpose based on its configuration and what you want to accomplish. Below the hammers are stakes. These stakes are used to form the metal around, with the hammers pounding them into specific positions. As you can see, the hammers are mostly of steel, but I have rawhide hammers and wooden hammers and rubber hammers. And these also have specific purposes. The stakes have different names. The one I'm zooming in on right now is called a blowhorn stake. Below that, laying on the ground, is a tea kettle stake. And there are numerous stakes in my collection. As we continue on, one of the important parts of any shop is the shears and tin cutters. There are many different types, and they all have specific purposes. As I continue on, you will see the electric soldering irons. These are practical compared to the old irons, they called them, that had to be heated up in a forge. I have some of those, but I've only used them on exterior work where I needed high heat input. Then you'll see clamps to hold things in place. Copper, brass, and tin have a tendency to expand when it's heated, so you need to hold them in place so you can properly solder them to maintain squareness. Up above are wooden forms that are used during the fabrication process to keep things straight. As I work over here, this item is a ring and circle cutter. What it performs is cutting rings and circles, which are big time savers if you are doing a lot of work. I've cut really hundreds of circles out by hand. I have my collection of solder and solder paste, cleaning supplies, and other miscellaneous items. This here is my bench. It has stakes in it, and this is called a bench plate. It's been made long enough so that I can do other things on it. It's very, very sturdy. Below this, I have a lot of steel forms which I bend things around also in conjunction with the hammers. And my smaller ones are right here in terms of forms, and I use these mostly during the assembly process. This is a bending jig that I made to bend different configurations. It has numerous holes, and I screw in pipes to accomplish that. This is a blacksmith's vise. It has a peg leg that goes to the floor, so when you pound on it, the weight is distributed to the floor. This is hand forged, and who knows how old it is. One of the other important things in any shop are the patterns, and you can see that I have patterns up here for various things that I make. It's a lot easier to take a pattern and trace it out than go through the layout process every time. Now on straight pieces that are rectangles, there's generally never a pattern because they're just too simple. This is a combination rotary machine. This is probably one of the most versatile tools in the shop. It has got a set of swedging dies, and these dies will put the swedge that you see here in this top in the top to add rigidity and decorative purposes. Here's some older type combination rotary machines, and they only have one set of dies. Usually in all shops the dies were lost. So here's one, and here's another even older, and this has a very simple single bead die. On the combination rotary machine, the following is a wall of different dies that I have for it to perform different purposes. As I continue around, this is one of the newest pieces of equipment that I have in the shop. It's called a box and pan brake. It's 24 inches, and it's used just for that purpose, to bend items into pans or boxes. You can only have a box with a lip of about 2 inches. Here's two older Pexto machines. One is for wiring, and the other is for setting down wires. And these are very handy machines. These are no longer manufactured. One of the big manufacturers in the industry of sheet metal tools is Pexto, and I would say 80% of the tools that I have are Pexto. They've gone out of business, and there's other manufacturers that make similar tools, but Pexto was always the Cadillac in the industry. This is a punch, and punch is very necessary for making the holes for fonts and putting on the collar. I have two different sizes. One is for obviously smaller holes, and it's quicker to change out the dies. Here's a collection of dies which are different sizes. Under the bench, other machines that I use for specific purposes. The machines over here are really big boy machines. They're designed to handle very heavy gauge material, and I've really not used them, and I never paid very much for them. Down here you will see a slip roll, and this is used to make things into cylinders, and it's a very useful machine. If I need to use this machine, I have to set up a temporary table, which I do. Here you'll see a roll of brass, and up here is a roll of turned tin. This tool right here is a stovepipe set-down machine. This is quite old, and it was used when they made stovepipes to close the seam, and it operates by turning this crank, and it moves forward. It's interesting to note that many of the machines that I have, when I bought them, I didn't pay a lot of money for them because they were really obsolete in most of the shops, but they never had all the pieces. So I've had to make pieces for this one. For example, this roller was missing, and the handle was missing. This here is a very rare machine. This is similar to the slip rolls, but is specifically for rolling cones. And this machine was manufactured in 1940, and it came out of the Pratt Whitney shop, and it was probably one of my most expensive purchases because of its rarity. Here you'll see a small arbor press and a larger arbor press, which are used for pressing down things that get distorted and need to be made flat. This is a bevel cutter. As you can see, it's square in nature, and it will cut the corners out of boxes and pans. So this is a production saving machine. Probably one of the most useful machines in my shop is the bar folder. This is used to fold items into columns. This is a particular column that would be folded in place by lifting up on the handle. So this machine has a lot of uses. Looking in the other direction, again, as you can see, the shop is pretty narrow, but it's functional. So that's a view of my shop. I hope you enjoyed it.